Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others, aspiring to be them, can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, folks, welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and this morning still we've got Jacob Dorfman from the law firm of Schleman, Belsky, Wiener, and Davy in Baltimore, Maryland. Welcome to the show, Jacob.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet. To keep with the theme of the show, first question always, what's your morning beverage of choice to get started?
Morning beverage of choice. So maybe this is controversial, but I'm actually not a coffee person. So if I have a morning beverage, it's usually a hot chocolate.
Okay, there you go. Excellent. Not too many people say latte, so I wouldn't expect to hear a latte.
That's fine. I guess my work coffee latte sounds delicious, but I don't know. I don't need. I get my caffeine through soda, but
There you go.
not so
There
much
you
through
go.
coffee.
Excellent. All right. Well, listen. Tell us about the kind of law that you practice.
So me personally, I do consumer protection litigation, I do wills, and then I also do some family law. But the firm is relatively full service. I would say one of our biggest groups here is the personal injury group, and we're trying cases that sometimes have multi-million-dollar verdicts, which is
Okay.
really exciting for us and provides, like, I think, a really great value to clients that have really experienced pretty significant injuries in their life.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, but you're focused on other things. Is it your plan to move into personal injury at some point?
It could be. I think the way that the firm functions, so we have prepaid legal service plans with the FOP lodges across the state. So that's the
Okay.
Fraternal Order of Police. So we sort of do two things. We have the personal injury group that's not necessarily FOP related. That's taking in a lot more private clients and going after, really the larger verdicts, the people that have had significant injuries. We had a case recently for a high school football player that was injured on a turf field, and he was being scouted by NFL scouts. He was going to be like the real deal, and instead he was very significantly injured. Does not have a career anymore in football, and that's very sad. That's a very large loss, for this individual.
Oh yeah. What
So
was the lawsuit in that case? That's interesting. What would the claim be there?
that wasn't my case. I really can't get
Oh,
into all
yeah.
the specifics, but that's just an idea of what the personal
Oh,
injury
sure.
is doing. My focus, I'm more on the FOP side of the firm. So a lot of the services that I provide are through those prepaid legal service plans.
Oh, I see. And how'd you get started there into that?
So I really wanted to do something that would be very client focused. That's always been why I became a lawyer, right? Like I became a lawyer to be that person who gives a voice to someone that is a little afraid to go to court. I was always, even growing up, I was the person that was the first to volunteer, first hand up in class, first one to give the oral presentation, captain of the debate team in high school, you name it. That's what I was doing. Uh,
Nice.
so I really wanted to do something where I could help people that maybe were a little more shy, or that couldn't have that voice. I wanted to either be in the courtroom or relating to clients. I was looking for that field where I could really be a personal value to individuals. And so I really found a home doing what I do, because that's what I do all day. People call in and I have a conversation with them. And if it's a will that they need, I can really help them out with that. If it's advice about how to deal with any number of consumer situations, whether it's they bought a bum car, or they made a contract that they now deeply regret, or any number of things. I mean, I get calls you wouldn't believe, just coming in and having the ability to pick up the phone and call an attorney, have a real conversation with them, is a tremendous value to individuals on that personal level, which makes me feel great. I get to go to court sometimes. I get to be on the phone. I get to, be in the office talking with people. And, every day I have another story and I have another person that I feel like I really helped.
Oh, interesting. So through the FOP, you're not, so who are the clients? They're not policemen. Are they family members? Who Who are the
So they're
clients?
either police officers or they're family members,
Okay,
wives, children of police officers,
I see.
and they get our services. It's a limited range of services, but it's relatively comprehensive in terms of and legal advice is always covered. So anytime something comes up, at a bare minimum, they can call here and they can talk to us. And if they're if their lodge has a service plan with us, then we're able to do more than even just that initial conversation.
Oh, I see. Okay, very good. Interesting. So how long you been at it doing this?
So I graduated law school in 2020, right in the heart of the pandemic. That was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. No high school, no law school graduation or hooding ceremony or anything like that. All Zoom, everything kind of shut down. All of a sudden, it was very surreal.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, in any case, I came out of law school and I clerked with Judge Robert Taylor in the Circuit Court for Baltimore City for a year. Which again, being in the Circuit Court when there were times that we were fully remote, fully shut down, but still trying to like move trials forward, get criminal. It was mostly criminal docket that I was dealing with. Going even with all those challenges was fascinating stuff. So I
Interesting.
was there for a year out of law school. I started with a different firm doing family law primarily, but very quickly transitioned here, and I've been here for about 2 years now. Love where I'm at now.
Excellent. How many people in the group?
So we have about 15 to 20 attorneys here at Schleman, Belsky, Wiener Davy. We have two staffed offices, and then we have satellite offices as well. So we're here in Baltimore, in Prince George's County, as well as in Salisbury. We have an office there as well.
Okay, but doing your kind of law, how many people?
Yeah, so I run my department in terms of the wills. I cover, I'm out of the Baltimore office, so that covers most of like the North Territory, but we have people that come to us from all over the state. And then the Prince George's County office is also involved with wills, but again, for people more like Eastern Shore or in the south of the state, when they come in, typically the clients come out of that office. But in terms of the Baltimore office, doing wills, you're going to come see me.
Oh, you're the guy. Okay, excellent. And you grew up in Baltimore, born and
Actually,
raised.
no, I grew up in New York.
Oh, you did?
So yes, I grew up on Long Island. Went to Binghamton University, which is the state school up there.
Yep.
So I was there for 5 years. Actually, I did a undergraduate degree in political science and philosophy, and then a master's degree. I got an MBA through the school there. So it was like a 5 year
Oh,
kind of
nice.
fast track program, which was great. From there, I went to Israel. So I was in Israel for 2 years, and I studied Talmudic law over there in a yeshiva called Machon Yaakov, which was for people. I didn't grow up, Orthodox Jewish, but in college there was a rabbi that I got very close with, and he was able to help me get admitted to this program in Israel, where I was able to really learn about my Yiddishkeit, about my Judaism, in a much more meaningful way, and allowed me to take on a lot of the traditions that I'm now a fully practicing Orthodox Jew. Very proud of that, and it's a big part of my life. I'm married. I have two beautiful children. I have a family, and I'm part of such a rich, amazing community now. I can't imagine my life without it. But that's what I did after college.
Oh, nice.
From there, I was applying to law school. So what brought me down to Baltimore, where I am now. So I was applying to law schools, and I wound up getting a full ride to University of Maryland. So that's sort of what attracted me to come down here. And like I said, the community here, I can't imagine going anywhere else. It's a great place to raise a family. It's a great place to, it's a great place.
Got
I
it.
can't
Got
say
it.
about it.
Well, the Ravens lost to the Steelers, right? The other day.
I mean, listen, we benched like all of our starters. What were you expecting to happen? Our number one seed in the AFC, so you can't exactly fault them. And now we're healthy going into the playoffs. You saw the Steelers lost TJ Watt, but they had to fight for their lives just to get in. So,
Yeah.
I think they made the right call, if you
Yeah,
ask me.
I'm teasing you on that. It's funny because my in-laws are from Pittsburgh, and I went to school in Pittsburgh. So I mean, if you're from Pittsburgh, you don't do anything on a Sunday except watch the Steelers game, period. And
Fair enough.
Baltimore is probably similar, I would imagine too, right?
It's a Ravens town. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a Ravens town. So I'll come out. I'll give my dirty laundry. I'm a Jets fan.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, but there's not a ton of beef between the Jets and the Ravens, especially not these days.
Right.
You know, with what's going on with the Jets, and you know, having been here now for about 6.5, 7 years, I've definitely adopted some Ravens love. So I'm
Excellent.
excited. You know, definitely cool to see them in the playoffs, and it's obviously number one seed, huge. So I'm pretty pumped about it. But
Okay, good. I can see you're getting enthusiastic about this stuff. Excellent. I touched a chord there. Good stuff. So that's interesting. So you didn't grow up religious, but went to the Talmudic law. What was that like? I mean, from what I understand, like that, people that, if you study the Talmud, it's incredibly helpful as to be a lawyer, right? The rigor of learning and studying the Talmud,
huge.
right?
Huge. Oh my
Huge.
gosh, yeah. And I still, I mean, I try and study. I can't say I'm perfect, but I have a study partner, and we learn most mornings. You know, I go to morning services, and then I carve out a small time in the morning to still just keep my skills sharp.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you a small personal story. So I took the LSAT, the entrance exam for law school. I took that before I went to Israel, and I got one score. After 1 year in yeshiva, and I studied again for it. I wanted to improve my score to
Yeah.
improve my scholarship offers and everything like that. I wound up dramatically improving my LSAT score, and I think in large part due to the fact that I'd really sharpened my skills, logical skills, logical reasoning skills, through studying the Gemara, studying the Talmud. I definitely attribute my time in Israel, and really focusing on my personal growth, focusing on what is it that I really want to get out of this life? Am I here just to make a bit of money and have some good times, and call it a day at some point when I turn old?
Yeah.
Or do I really want to leave behind a legacy? Do I want to have a lasting impact? Do I want to fulfill Hashem's will for me here in this world, and like really fulfill who I'm supposed to be? And so, and just having that time to really be focused on yourself, really be focused on honing your skills through studying the Gemara, studying the Torah. I think it had a tremendous impact, not only in my personal life and in my religious observance, of course, but in a very practical way. And in my career, I think I'm in a much better position now to be the best attorney that I could possibly be, because I have that background, and because I have those skills that, like I said, I still work hard to keep sharp.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. No, I've heard that. I can't claim to be a scholar of that, so I can't attribute any of my success to the Talmud. But I have heard that from a lot of people, so it's interesting. So I mean, aside from that, I mean, what traits do you think make a lawyer good or better than others?
So I think, for me, what I think separates an attorney that's doing his job from an attorney that's going above and beyond
Yeah,
are the personal touches, right? So for me, if I have someone that calls in and they're really upset about, I don't know, just pick something at random, that they're really upset about a contractor that came to their home and put up the wrong wallpaper, or whatever it was,
yeah,
and they're really upset about it, and they're going on and on. Now, from my point of view, right, there's a couple of things that can be done. We can go to the MHIC, the Maryland Housing and Improvement Commission, and I can file a guarantee fund complaint with them. I could take that case to court. It would be a small claims court in all likelihood, kind of case. There's like, my wheels are turning in terms of like what legal remedies there are for such a person. And so I could cut them short, and I could give them basically that information, and then I could hang up the phone. And I think that would technically be doing my job, right? They call in with a legal question, I give them a very quick answer. That conversation might take 5 or 10 minutes, and then I can check the box. Okay, I'm ready for the next call, ready for the next email, whatever it is. Um, what I try and do, and what I think is what I really try and do in order to take my game up to the next level, and provide that personal level of service, is really hear them out. Right. So what could be a 5 or 10 minute conversation sometimes turns into a 45-minute conversation. But that 45-minute conversation allows me to hear a lot more details, about what's going on in that person's life. And maybe it allows me to give them advice that's beyond the scope of simply what legally can be done. Hey, maybe we ought to try calling this person's boss, because it sounds like they're just having a really rough time and they misunderstood what type of wallpaper you ordered. And so instead of hitting your head up against the wall and starting a legal process, which again, like that would be doing my job, just saying, okay, send me the information, let's file a claim.
Yeah.
Right. Let's find out a little bit more about what's going on in terms of the backstory here. And I can make a phone call and maybe we can get it resolved in a way that I never even would have thought of before we had that full conversation. And what I've seen is that does really elevate what I'm able to provide in terms of service. And I'm able to resolve. I'm most proud of the cases that I never take to trial, because I really provide much more of a benefit to them on a personal level than they would have gotten going through the legal process.
Got it. Excellent. You mentioned trial. Have you been able to do a jury trial, or is that not part of your practice?
So yeah, my scope of practice personally at this point doesn't really include too much jury trial. It's always something that I'm striving for, and
Yeah.
the firm does them in other contexts. So
Sure.
I'm sure I'll have my chances. But yeah, so far when I'm in court, it's mostly district court. For a lot of the consumer kind of stuff, and then circuit court for family law.
Okay.
I do a lot of protective orders. I do a lot of child custody and divorce work. So that's sort of mostly the scope of practice.
Okay. Give me one case that stands out that was really interesting or fulfilling that you worked on.
Oh gosh, I mean there's been so many. It's like it's so different every day.
Well, I'll tell you, let me make it easy for you. I'm curious about your consumer protection. Give me an example of a case that you worked on so people get a flavor of those kind of cases.
Sure, yeah. So okay, so I'll tell you about a case that it's still technically ongoing. So I can't get into a ton of the details,
Yeah.
but I found this to be like a very cool service that we were able to provide. So there was a client of mine who was renting an apartment, just renting a normal apartment. And the apartment complex had a policy where they didn't assign parking spots within the garage, but you did have to register your license plate and whatever with the front desk. And so they knew that, like, okay, your car is like meant to be in this section of the garage or whatever.
Yep.
So my client had registered his car. There should have been no problem. In their infinite wisdom, they decided to tow his car anyway. They didn't provide him the 24-hour notice they were required to. They didn't provide him really anything other than he like came out to the garage and didn't see his car, went to the front desk, said like, "Hey, where's my car?" And they're like, "Oh, well, it was towed." So then he had to, through his own expense, pay a few $100s, go and get the car. And as a result of that, we decided to send a letter to the landlord saying, "Hey, we're going to withhold this exact amount from the next month's rent in order to remedy him. Like, you shouldn't have done that, and so therefore this is very very straightforward." But what wound up ensuing was a little bit different than that. They decided to try and evict him. They tried
Oh,
to, and so we wound up going to rent court with him, and we explained the situation to the attorney, and we were able to, basically get the case dismissed. But then the next month he got served again, and the next month again, and the next month again.
wow.
This happened 5 times where they just basically continued to try and evict him based on the charges and everyone agreed. The counsel, like, it was very clear that this was something that should have been written off, that there was a mistake in the front office. They basically told the wrong car or whatever it was. And so like the attorneys agreed, everything, like, it should have been fine. This is a situation where, like, if they just let bygones be bygones, we were content to like walk away also. But due to the fact that they basically persistently decided to try and file evictions, so now there are much broader claims that we can affirmatively take against them as violations of the Consumer Protection Act. And basically, if someone is trying to collect a debt and they're doing so in a predatory fashion, and they're doing so in bad faith, meaning they know that they shouldn't be trying to collect on this debt. It's already been established this is a bad debt. You can't collect on it. So the first time you try, okay, like you did so in good faith, you didn't know. But if you continue to come back even after you know, and that can come with emotional damages, right? I mean, not being able to like live comfortably in your own
Oh,
home,
sure.
being under fear of potential eviction, that's no fun. That's not a good position to be in. And so that's a case.
So can you get
One of
punitive damages for that?
so like I said, it's ongoing. So
Oh,
I
interesting.
can't
Yeah, it would sound like
obviously
it. So you have a real case
yeah
where you can get some damages.
yeah
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't sound right to me. That vengeful behavior.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the power disparity is what bothers me about it,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
you have a large institutional um, uh,
Oh,
landlord,
it's an institutional real
and
estate owner.
yeah.
Okay.
And so they continually, it's for them, it's routine. They already have, folks going to court for them, bringing, tens, if not hundreds of evictions on a weekly basis. So throwing one more in the pile for them is no big deal. And hey, maybe they'll catch my client off guard just one time, and all of a sudden, he's out,
Interesting.
and that's a real problem. So you can't. They try and make the process as seamless as possible because we need. I mean, to be fair, right? Like we need landlords, right? We need people who provide homes to our citizens. I mean, it's a necessary service, and we can't make it too rigorous or too expensive or too difficult because otherwise they'll stop providing those services
Right.
if it's not profitable. So I mean, it's important that we strike that balance. But if there's a landlord that's taking advantage of those services in order to try and, in my opinion, sort of take vengeance on someone who quote unquote wronged them, or even let's say not that bad. Let's just say they're ignoring a problem because it's easier to ignore it, and hopefully they'll just go away, even though they know that they should take an affirmative step of like fixing their books and stopping the eviction process from continuing. That's on them. That's their responsibility to take care of. And if they're not willing to take care of it, well, then we're going to have to take care of it for them.
There you go. Well, that might be your first chance to get in front of a jury.
That's again, I'm building a career. I'm still young in my career, but I'm proud of what I do for individuals on a daily basis, and I love working where I'm at. So it's a great firm. It's a great culture. I love the fact that we have clientele that are public servants who are keeping us safe on a daily basis, and we get to give back to them. It's just like it feels good to help people that um, you know. Not every single person is a saint, but every single person that I come across has a real genuine problem, and I can genuinely help them. And they're like I said, they're public servants who are, by and large, just really good people. And so I tremendously enjoy working with them.
Excellent. Well, I was going to ask you final words you want to leave about the firm, but I think you just did that. What's the best way for someone to get in touch with you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to get in touch with me, my email address is and then my last name Dorfman, Dorf as in Frank, MAN, and then that's at sbwdlaw.com. S is in Sam, B is in boy, W is in wag, D is in dog, law.com. Or you could call us, phone number 410-685-2022. And yeah, I mean, like I said, we're a relatively full service firm. Personal injury is definitely, we're, I think, very well known in the state for that. So if anyone or if you've been personally affected by something that we can be of service for, definitely happy to help out in any way we can.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right, Jacob. I enjoyed it. Keep up the good work. And for everybody, this is sponsored by EmotionTrac, which is a legal tech platform that helps litigators prepare for mediation and trials with our Insights platform. So again, Jacob Dorfman from the law firm, and I got to read it, Schleman, Belsky, Wiener, and Davy in Baltimore, Maryland. Thanks a lot, Jacob.
Thank you.
You bet.